Giants at Eagles. NFC East
Here we go.
matchup. Eagles are 2-0 against the Giants. First game, they beat them 48-22. Second game, 22-16. If you could, in the moment, find the line for me for this game, I'd appreciate it. And you know what? The Giants had a fantastic season. They did. And I think maybe they'll have a couple drives on the Eagles. The Eagles' rushing defense is vulnerable.
It is.
But this narrative.
Middle of the pack.
Giants are 7.5-point underdogs.
But this narrative that the Giants are like this red-hot, fuming with lava team, it's just not true. You know, after our live reaction, Dehls was like, I'd rather face the Giants than the Cowboys. Cowboys got Dak.
He spoke facts.
Cowboys got an elite defense. Cowboys got an elite offense.
They got elite players.
Yeah, but they have an elite team. And coaching, I like Mike McCarthy's not bad.
Table clears.
He's a good coach.
Table clears.
But he doesn't have the talent. The Giants are 3-5-1 in the last 9 games. That's not a red-hot team to me.
Yeah, I overspoke.
That's a team that, to me, it's kind of chilly. Maybe they've caught some breaks because they beat the Vikings in a wild card. They beat the Colts.
That's a break.
And they beat the Commanders.
How about all the injuries they faced this season?
You know, I think the 3 wins in their last 9 games have been the Vikings, Colts, Commanders. That's not something that tells me this team is red hot and ready to go through the NFC.
The Vikings win does.
The Eagles are the most complete team in football. They have been all season long. Their offensive line is filled with Pro Bowlers. Azeez Ojulari's a bit banged up. They have somebody who can contain Dexter Lawrence and Jason Kelsey, all-pro center. And run defense, it's a bit vulnerable, but when Jordan Davis plays, it's a different story, and he's healthy. I don't think the Giants will be able to get home consistently just rushing 4. They will have to blitz. And Hurts hasn't been amazing against the blitz this season, but they're going to leave their corners on the island against great receivers. The Eagles can also control the clock by running the ball. I got the Eagles in this game. And my player prop for Jalen Hurts, I got him over 246.5 passing yards. I think that's a low line for him. I think he can eclipse 300 passing yards in this game.
All right.
Want to hear Drew's take?
Hurts, baby.
So I'll tell you what, Joel, you said a lot of truth there. Eagles have been one of the best teams, arguably the best team in football this season. In my opinion, yes, I do believe they are the most complete team because of Jalen Hurts and for how great that defense has been all season long. But, man, I say it time and time again. Division games, especially in the playoffs, anything can happen. And I say that with the fact that the last 3 weeks of the regular season, the Eagles, not how you kind of want to go into the playoffs, if you ask me. You don't have Jalen Hurts for 2 games. Gardner Minshew loses both those games. And then the last week of the season where you do play the Giants, where you need to win that game to be the first seed and have the first round bye, Jalen Hurts comes back. He was okay, if I'm going to be honest. Didn't look the same Jalen Hurts. Joel, I'm going to be honest. Maybe you were right. Maybe that shoulder is not 100%, and maybe Jalen Hurts is not really the Jalen Hurts that we have seen all season long. Maybe that injury really could play a factor into this game. And now this is going to be the third matchup where even in that matchup, Week 18, it was a close game. And let it be known that the starters did not play. No Daniel Jones, no Saquon Barkley. And it was a close game with backups. Now, this is the third matchup. And in my opinion, Nick Sirianni, as good of a head coach as he's been this season, I think Brian Daboll outcoaches him. And I think that, with honesty, it is very difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. And in a division game, and with the way that things have been going the Giants' way, I'm just going to ride the team of destiny right now. And I'm going with the New York Giants. And my over-under selection for Boom Fantasy is going to be Saquon Barkley over 70.5 because, as you alluded to, their rush defense, if there is a vulnerability, it is that rush defense where they're middle of the pack. And we saw Saquon Barkley against Minnesota, and he was amazing in his limited opportunity rushing, both rushing and receiving, having over 100 scrimmage yards. Saquon Barkley was fantastic. And I expect him to be very crucial in this game against Philadelphia. And I expect Daniel Jones to continue to have success. It's going to be an amazing game, no doubt, but I'm going with the G-Man.
Jalen Brunson, Mr. New York, is wearing a Jalen Hurts jersey.
Come on, man. It's a slap in the face.
Is he from Philly? I don't know.
No, he is. Villanova.
Okay.
He went to Villanova.
That makes sense.
I understand it also.
Riv,
Jalen Hurts is very easy to
Guess
root
what Jalen Brunson's stats have been in the last 9 games?
Probably like 31 points per game or some shit like that.
Yeah, 30.7, 5.9 assists, 5.4 rebounds.
All-star.
That's Brunson, man.
All-star, man, for
He's an
sure.
all-star.
Get him in there. Vote Jalen Brunson. If you're watching this right now, go onto your phone right now and vote for Jalen Brunson to get into the All-Star game, damn it.
Brunson.
I think this is going to be the second best game of the week. I think Bengals-Bills is the most entertaining. But I do think this is going to be the second best game of the week. Well, I agree, Drew. It is hard to beat a team 3 times. This feels more like the second time they're playing. That Week 18 game, the Giants sat basically all of their guys. And we kind of talked about it a little bit last week, or maybe it was on the live reaction, that the Ravens and Bengals, when they played Week 18, the commentators were making a point that when they went back and watched the film, everything was very vanilla. They weren't showing anything. They didn't want to have any of these, creative designs because they knew they were going to play in the next week. I think it's very possible Philly did that too. They knew that if the Giants win, they would play them in the second round of the playoffs. So I think to an extent, while Jalen Hurts didn't look his best, I also think he gets an extra week off now. He's been a full participant as of yesterday. I think that's a big deal that he is this entire week going to be full in practice. I think if he was leading up and he was limited, and then maybe that Friday he was full, we could have a bit more of a discussion. But the fact that he was full on Tuesday and should be full the entire week gives me more confidence that he is pretty close to 100% from his shoulder injury. But you look at this Eagles team, they're more talented. Outside of running back, I really don't look at a single position and say the Giants have the case here. Maybe at edge with Kayvon, because I know Sweat's been banged up. But even still, I mean, you look at just units, the Eagles have everything. And even though the Giants might be the healthier team, Lane Johnson is expected to play, right tackle. Obviously, that's going to be a huge difference maker. And then Jalen Hurts as well, expected to play, as I mentioned, being full participant. Really, it seems small, but it's a big deal when you're this early in the week. It's hard for me to look at this game. I picked the Giants last week. I've given them their credit. I think this is where it ends. I do think, as I mentioned, the Giants have overachieved a ton this season. Daniel Jones, while he's definitely progressed, his best games of the season has come against the Vikings twice and the Detroit Lions, both teams that are, bottom 3 defenses in football in terms of the whole season. The last time Daniel Jones played the Eagles, he had under 170 passing yards, I want to say. It was around 160, 165. It's going to be hard to win that way, I think, if you're going to be throwing for less than 200 passing yards. We're talking about an Eagles team who has the best offensive line in football, Jalen Hurts, who was playing like an MVP candidate before he got hurt. And it's going to be difficult for the Giants to get pressure with 4 like they did basically all game against the Vikings, right? We mentioned that in the previous live reaction. I think Joel brought it up, how Wink Martindale only blitzed, I want to say, on 9 or brought more than 4 players on only 9 of their defensive snaps. I think they'll have to do that more often against this Eagles offensive line. And then very similar to how the Giants bracketed Justin Jefferson. I think it's going to be hard. You could bracket A.J. Brown, but you don't have Adam Thielen on the other side. You have Devontae Smith. He's going to be one-on-one. He's going to be able to beat these corners. You have Dallas Goedert.
You got to worry about a running game.
You have a legit running game. Obviously, they were one of the most rush-heavy offenses in the NFL. You already know they're going to have one of the most balanced attacks in this game, being able to run with Miles, with Jalen, and then off of that, the RPO stuff that we've seen them dominate this entire season. This offense is dangerous. Jalen Hurts is dangerous. This defense has been one of the best units in the league. Sirianni and Dable, I do think Dable is a better coach, but I just think there's a huge talent gap right now between the Eagles and Giants. I think it's going to be a close game. Like I said, I think it's going to be probably the second most competitive game of the week, but I do have the Eagles winning. Do I have a score here? What do I have? I have the Eagles winning 26-20.
Well, the Giants cover the spread.
The Giants are 7.5. I have 26-20, so according to my score prediction, I would be taking plus 7.5.
I'm gonna take the Eagles spread. I think they win by more than 7.5.
What's the Eagles spread?
7.5.
Yeah, this is nuts. I don't understand. This is what boggles my mind. I understand where you're coming from. You've been on the Giants wave pretty much all year. You've been very adamant about them. But you, maybe you are flip aside.
Whoa! He chose the Eagles.
I'm on the
No,
Eagles.
you did, but I don't understand how a game plan against the Minnesota Vikings makes you think that game plan.
It doesn't.
No, it has to though, because if they didn't, like, that game right there is the only reason why you're looking at them like, all right, the way they coach this game, it can look a little close against the Eagles. It's not going to be close, bro. I'm sorry, it's not. We are so far and away a better team on aside from running the ball, because respect to Saquon. He's a dog. Got to give him his credit. Saquon is clearly better than Miles Sanders. We'll never take that away from him. Aside from that, we are better at pretty much every part of the field, like every part of football, than the Giants. Like, and their coach is great. Our coach is good too. Our quarterback is great. Their quarterback is great. We have A.J. Brown. We have Devonta Smith. We have Dallas. Like, they don't have anybody, any receivers. They're not going to be as open as you think against, like, we're not the Vikings. We have Pro Bowl players at every single position. This game is not going to be close. I know you can't beat a team. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, but realistically, the second game, they was going through the reps. They was resting players. The first game, the Giants was injured, and we beat the brakes off of them.
Absolutely violated.
And respect to them, over the first but none of those players that they are bringing in are game changers to the point where they're changing the outcome. They can change the score a little bit. They can change the score. They're not changing the outcome. We're still winning that game comfortably. So shout out to the Giants. They had a great start. We're just so much a better team. We're on a different level right now. Jalen Hurts being healthy is going to be huge. He said he's good to go. He's been on the money pretty much for the most part all year. And this is a guy who, I think he's learned his mistakes from last season. And even then, the Giants, I don't think, have the personnel or the scheme the Bucs had to stop us. And we have so much a better team than we had last year. Devonta Smith has stepped up his game, A.J. Brown. And I'm taking the Devonta Smith over because even if you bracket A.J. Brown, Devonta is going for 100 yards. He's going to have a big, big, big game. And the Giants, like I said, I gave them respect for last week because a lot of people, they weren't the favorite, and they weren't even supposed to be here from the jump. Coming into this year, they weren't even supposed to be that good. So you got to give them their respect. But this is where the separator from elite to good teams happens. This is where the top-notch NFC teams face the low-card teams. This is a matchup that's not favorable for the Giants. So I got the Eagles comfortably over the spread.
Score.
Probably like 31-20, 31-21, 31-16.
31-17.
Yeah, we're gonna do what we should do. We should beat them comfortably because we're just a better team than them at every point outside of coaching. They're coaching.
Yeah, good coach.
We do. That's what I'm saying. Like we don't like the Vikings have missed
week
holes.
18 games don't matter. Like
in that situation where they
that
needed
Dolphins
to win
just
to have
mattered.
In that situation where they needed to win in order to lock up the number 1 seed, or you rush back Jalen Hurts into playing a week after he clearly is working through an injury and playing through an injury. I mean, I think that game definitely was essential for the Eagles. They needed to win that game.
It was essential, but I don't think they were.
I think it was more essential for the
They were
reps.
pulling out any tricks out the hat in that game.
I agree.
I think that.
I mean, it showed if that's the case.
We've seen the Giants beat the Vikings because they were able to get 1 or 2 stops on them. But defensively, they were getting torched too. It's just that they were torching the Vikings defense even worse. Eagles offense is a different animal.
One thing I will say is they really didn't establish the run, a.k.a. Saquon Barkley, all too much against the Vikings. It was a lot of Daniel Jones working.
Early on, they did. Saquon had that big touchdown run.
Yeah, but he really only had 5 carries, I think, in the first half.
After that,
he didn't have a lot of carries. Less than 15.
Yeah, but after they dominated on the run, then they started passing more.
And Daniel Jones.
No, but Daniel Jones was the one who was the leading rusher.
Yeah.
So I say this in the sense of I think now it should be really more reliant on Saquon. I really think they need to win this. I think if they're going to win this game, it's going to be through running down the clock, getting the ball in Saquon's hands, allowing him to manipulate the outcome of this game. Because, like you mentioned, yeah, I agree. I think if you get the Eagles offense out there, they're going to put up points. But if you can limit them from getting on the field and keep the offense out there as long as you guys can, I think that the Giants definitely could get this game in their favor. And you said it. You believe that this shouldn't even be a contest. You believe the same thing. All the pressure is on Philadelphia. They are definitely, on paper, the better team. They have been the better team the entire season. There is no pressure on New York.
You get pressure because you're at the top.
100%.
Because you're better.
I could not agree more.
And Jalen Hurts knows that. Jalen Hurts, his demeanor all year.
You have the best leader, arguably, in the NFL.
He has the most.
That's a hot take.
I just think he's just very stoic. He understands.
Listen, I don't think that Jalen Hurts not going to come to play. I think Jalen Hurts is good enough to perform.
He wants to shut people up for that last.
But I will say,
for me.
Again, like I've been saying.
It's a win-win. If the Giants lose and Daniel Jones plays poorly, that's a win. If the Eagles lose and Jalen Hurts shows up, some of them flaws I was pointing out all year, I win too.
Interesting.
I can't lose. I can't lose.
You've given Jalen
Dehls.
Hurts praise for the last 2 months.
I can't
I'm not
lose.
happy with that. No.
Dehls.
I can't. Come on, man. Have some dignity.
I do think Giants fans don't expect the same type of game you saw
sure.
against the Vikings.
For
I think
sure.
that's
It's gonna
really
be ugly. If you're gonna win.
the biggest takeaway
The
is
Eagles are just awesome. Bro.
yeah, you're not gonna just get, and even if you do pressure Jalen Hurts, it's not like Kirk Cousins who's just gonna fold in the pocket. Jalen Hurts getting out of that pocket. He's going to put pressure on the defense. He's going to be able to make plays on the run, outside of the pocket, outside of structure that Kirk Cousins simply can't. You could get they got pressure with 4, and Kirk Cousins is not mobile and he cannot move. Completely different story with the Eagles and this team and their scheme. It's going to be a lot more of I don't want to say trickery, but with the RPO style, it's a lot easier for an aggressive defense to bite on stuff that allows big plays to get open for Philly.